The KEEL Morning Show with Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty.
Good morning. It's 6:03. Robert and Erin, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. The KEEL app is a free download. More details later. Speaking of details, Erin has local news getting ready right now.
Give for good a rap. How'd we do? We'll talk more about that. An area mayor busted for abuse of power. And did the Glover bill pass in the House committee?
Gosh, I promise I was just joking. Greg Tarver's not really a Republican.
No, he's not.
Wow.
Dang.
Wow. No, I wasn't making it up. Maybe he's just partially Republican.
No.
Yeesh. And remember the old Martin Niemöller quote? Nah, 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 nah. And when they came for me, there was no one left to complain.
Yes.
Matt is today's Martin Niemöller. I will explain. Fletcher sports, traffic, and weather, and it's all coming up this hour, and it's right here on KEEL.
Information. KEEL News now.
Give for Good Day is a wrap. The total raised is at $1.87 million, but that's only a preliminary number and doesn't include cash donations made at events across the city. Holy Angels topped the list, bringing in more than $200,000. A federal appeals court set to hear arguments on a Louisiana law requiring that doctors perform abortions have admitting privileges at nearby hospitals. This would have a big impact on the Hope Medical Group in Shreveport. Federal district judge in Baton Rouge blocked enforcement of the law last year. A 3-judge panel of the Fifth Circuit discusses the case today. A mayor busted for abuse of power. Cotton Valley Mayor Joseph Alexander arrested for abuse of power. Allegedly, he was running a kickback scheme and skimming money from the town. Webster DA Skylar Marvin says an investigation into Alexander has been going on for several months. The Safety Net Hospital deal could be finalized by the end of this month. Matt Parker with that.
A long-term deal for Ochsner Health to take over the Safety Net hospitals in Shreveport and Monroe could be finalized within the month. A spokeswoman with Ochsner says that they are committed to working with the state and that all parties involved want to strengthen the hospitals and unite the communities behind them. Ochsner owns or operates 30 hospitals in the state. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
Meantime, a bill to bring parity to funding for safety net hospitals makes it out of committee. Cedric Glover won support for his bill by just one vote in the Appropriations Committee. It now moves to the full House. Sergeant Kevin Anderson identified as the Shreveport officer who shot and killed a man downtown. Anderson's been a member of the force since '94. According to reports, Anderson attempted to make contact with Brandon Busher Sunday. Busher then attacked Anderson and went for his gun, forcing Anderson to use deadly force. The sergeant's been placed on paid leave while the investigation continues. First Assistant Kyle Ardoin will take over the agency that handles elections beginning May 8th. Ardoin replaces Secretary of State Tom Shedler, who submitted his resignation papers in the wake of a sexual harassment scandal. Ardoin knows he's been put in charge during a pivotal time.
The purchasing of new voting equipment and the perfection of the 2018 midterm congressional elections. Both of these are high profile, high stakes, and high impact for our voters across this state.
The resignation will trigger a fall special election for the job. Many in the Queensboro neighborhood say they can't rebuild without help from the government. Dozens of homes are still deemed unlivable after severe storms ravaged the area a few weeks ago. FEMA, Homeland Security, and the SBA are all assessing the damage. The U.S. House has passed a bill that would allow Louisiana residents impacted by the 2016 floods to become eligible for grant money, even if they got low-interest loans. Baton Rouge Representative Garrett Graves, the bill's sponsor, says this opens up recovery money to thousands.
Would make all of those people, those thousands of people, eligible for Restore Louisiana grants, even if you got a loan or approved for a loan.
The bill received near unanimous support in the House. Now they wait to see if the Senate will approve it. Arizona teachers promised to end an historic statewide strike that shut down schools for days if lawmakers pass a plan that offers big raises and increased school funding. Congrats to some Shreveport Mudbugs, the NAHL announcing division awards. Scott Musket named GM of the Year, Carlos Zernest Coach of the Year, the team wins Organization of the Year. Also, Dom Procopio is Defenseman of the Year. The Space Agency going back to Mars for the first time in 6 years with a robotic geologist to dig deeper than ever before to take the planet's temperature and measure its pulse. And police say a University of Alabama student allegedly pulled down a woman's pants while she was jogging near the campus and later broke into a nearby home stealing women's underwear. The guy's been caught and faces a series of charges. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Ten past 6 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, traffic time.
Everything's still running nice and smooth for your early morning drive to work or school, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on Barksdale Boulevard near McDade Street in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Clouds and sun, breezy, warm and humid today, high 86 degrees. Plenty of clouds tonight with a low of 66. It'll stay mild. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Twelve past 6 o'clock, Robert J. Wright, Erin McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, and the KEEL app, a free download from Office Furniture Source.
Can I ask you a question? I hate throwing these at you, but this is really out of left
If you hated
field.
throwing them at me, you wouldn't make it a once weekly adventure.
I want to know if either one of you would have done this.
Hold on a second.
Oh, boy.
Every time you come up with one of these questions, it's the most distasteful.
It happened yesterday in Shreveport.
Nobody needs to know question.
No, this is really legit. But I want to know if there's a lot of groaning going on
That
over
wasn't
there.
groaning. That was negative reaction.
Okay, I'm headed down Uri Drive. I'm going to make a left on Kings Highway.
Yes, you shouldn't have
Okay?
done it. Let's move on.
No, I make my left.
Okay.
You come to the East Kings where it branches off to the right. Mm-hmm. And I'm in the right lane because everybody's moving over to the right.
So you're going toward Shreve City.
Yeah, I'm going toward Shreve City. And all of a sudden, the right lane stops. Everybody stops right after you pass that light at East Kings. And the other lane's a construction zone. So I'm like, what's
Did you cut
going
across
on?
somebody's backyard?
No, wait a minute. Everyone stops. And then as you look ahead, you can see something in the roadway. And I'm like, what are we going around? Or we're like driving around something. And then I look, and then one of the cars pulls over onto the shoulder and stops. And she stops. And this woman gets out of her car. And I'm like, oh, there's a board in the road or something. She's going to move it.
Yeah.
So we're all good. Isn't that sweet of her? Well, no. When I get up to her, there's a turtle the size bigger than a Frisbee. It is a foot across. It is a monster turtle. I mean, he is
Like
huge.
you could have saddled this baby.
Oh, it would have ruined a tire. If I'd have smacked him and made turtle stew, it would have ruined a tire. She goes out into the road, and she goes to pick him up, and he rears up, like pulls all his legs up, like rear, like, and of course she freaked. And just at that moment, there's a jogger coming by, a male jogger, and he goes out into the road and helps her, turn the turtle around and get him back to. Would you have gone over there? Would you have pulled your car over and stopped? I feel bad that I wouldn't have. I feel really guilty this morning that I was not a turtle saver, that I could have helped.
So your question is?
Would you have stopped to go get the turtle back to where he needed to be? Would you have stopped your car, gotten out?
It's possible.
Really?
Sure.
I do it all the time.
I think that is so sweet.
There's turtles in the road in Benton all the time that I have to stop and usher along.
And you get them to where they need to be.
Puts a couple of drinks in them, sends them on their way.
I just thought it was so sweet. And, and a bunch of cars went around the turtle, and that's fine. I'm with you.
Chances turtles
I would
are
have done
not
the same.
turtles are not, generally speaking, they're not carnivores. They won't come at you.
But I mean, where he was going was you're going to the wrong spot. You need to turn around and go back over here.
He was headed basically up toward the Whataburger, and he needed
they're
to
not
go
gonna
back
serve him.
toward the pond.
Yeah, where there's fishies and all.
He needed a 40 and a pack of cigarettes. Leave him alone.
He was going to the Circle K.
Yeah.
I just feel really bad about myself today because I wouldn't have done that.
Well,
and I'm proud of the two people who did it.
So what are you going to do to make up for this?
Nothing.
Turtle Patrol?
I don't know. And later I'm like, well, I should have videoed it. That would have been a great video. I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Okay, there's what you've become.
Isn't that terrible?
You've become the guy. Remember,
I'm an awful
remember
person.
I told you about the lady a couple of weeks ago choking at the Outback, and the guy just got up, calmly walked around the corner, did the Heineken maneuver, the Heimlich maneuver, the Heimlich maneuver, and saved her life.
Some people do those things and some don't.
You would have videoed it.
Oh.
That's who you are.
No.
There's a child in trouble. Where's my phone?
No, not that. No, I wouldn't do that. But
how do you know?
I think badly of myself today.
I'm not coming down hard on you here, but I'm coming down hard on you here. Your inclination was either to do nothing or to video it. Your inclination was not to help.
Yeah.
So at what point, as you walk up that ladder,
I like to think I'm a kind of person who will help.
Obviously not.
As you work your way up that ladder of trouble.
Yeah.
At what level of evolution do you help and do you stop videoing?
I wanted to be that lady, but who would have helped?
If it had been a child.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no doubt.
Okay.
Oh, no doubt.
So humankind is your cutoff.
Oh, I would have definitely got it.
And
if it was a snake, I would have rolled over
if it had
I
been
would
a
have crushed
puppy,
it.
if it had been a small dog.
Puppy, I might have got out and done.
Okay, so human being, for sure.
Yeah.
Puppy.
Yeah, well, I'm on the cusp.
Everything else, screw them.
I'm on the puppy cusp.
No, we've established that.
But would you have saved the turtle, though, really?
I would have pointed it in the right direction.
Or would you have driven around it? You would have gotten out of your car?
It's not, like I said, I can conceivably do that, sure.
I feel bad
Depending
about
on how
myself
bad
today.
I need the cigarettes and the 40. 17 past 6 o'clock, 101.7 FM and 710 Keel. Is gambling back?
Oh, yeah.
No, it's not.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Read the story.
Okay, let me find it. Let's see where it is. Legislation to give...
No. Don't just read it.
Okay.
Pay attention to it. Okay.
Legislation to give you an opportunity in November to decide if sports gambling should be legal in your parish is one step away from final passage.
Keep going.
Senate committee approved Kirk Talbot's proposal. If it's approved, here's the part you love, I know. The Gaming Control Board would regulate sports gambling. Talbot says another bill would be introduced next year to determine how it would be taxed.
Now, is that the same kind of sport, like wide open sports gambling?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Not just FanDuel and DraftKings.
This says fantasy sports gambling.
See, you left out that word.
Did I?
That's a different thing.
Fantasy sports gambling is FanDuel and DraftKings online stuff, which is illegal in Louisiana. That was what I picked up in your story.
Okay.
There's
so
a
it's
difference.
important that you put that word in there.
That's two different things. Sports gambling.
I didn't realize that.
Fantasy sports gambling has been legitimized in many states because it has been classified as not gambling, but a game of skill. Mm-hmm. Hold the thought. We'll talk about this more when we get back.
And we'll find out about Give for Good Day. Golly, the numbers were high.
What the hell voice was that?
That's her turtle voice. She's feeling guilty.
I feel terrible.
19 past 6 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Robert J. Wright in here, everybody. And traffic time, here's Ruben.
Everything's still running nice and smooth for your early morning drive to work or school, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on Barksdale Boulevard near McDade Street in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Clouds and sun, breezy, warm and humid today. High 86 degrees. Plenty of clouds tonight with a low of 66. It'll stay mild. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Twenty-one past 6 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel Sports.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. Bird won the LHSAA Division I State Golf Tournament, 25 strokes ahead of second place Jesuit. The Yellow Jackets were led by Charlie Flynn, whose 140 total was also good for second best individual score. Teammates Jake Marler finished 2 shots back. Payne Johnson was +2 for the tourney. Marshall aboard and Luke Atchison also played well for the champs. LSU signee Hayden White won the Division II State Golf Championship, helping his Benton Tiger teammates to their 6th state team title in the last 7 years and 7th in school history. The Tigers rallied from 1 shot down after the first round to win the team title by 6 strokes. Ryan Steed and Brody Romero were Benton's 2nd and 3rd top golfer, respectively. Captain Shreve's girls finished 2nd in the D1 tourney. Rachel Dupree's second-place individual effort led the Lady Gators, who fell 7 shots shy of 4-time state champion Sulphur. Steph Curry returned to action for Golden State in Game 2 of their playoff series with New Orleans after missing the last 16 games with a grade 2 MCL sprain in his left knee. He nailed his first three-pointer when he was inserted into the game in the first quarter and finished with 28 points in the Warriors' 121-116 win over the Pelicans to take a 2-0 series lead. LeBron James had 26 points, 11 boards, and 13 assists to lead Cleveland to a 113-112 OT win in Toronto to take Game 1 of the Eastern semis. The Astros wasted Justin Verlander's 14 strikeout, 8 shutout inning performance last night. New York's Gary Sanchez broke a scoreless tie with a 3-run ninth-inning homer in the Yankees' 4-0 win. And Texans grabbed a much-needed 8-6 12-inning win over the Cleveland Indians to the Rangers. Finally get a win. From the Sports Desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
Twenty-five past 6 o'clock, 101.7 FM and 710 Keel. Robert and Erin. Christy Gustafson is back. There's a story behind this. Is back again today. She's executive director for the Community Foundation of Northwest Louisiana. Hey, Miss Christy, how are you?
Probably haven't slept.
I'm doing great. I had about 5 hours so far, so I'm pretty good.
1.87 million is the total, but that's preliminary and doesn't include what?
Oh, pardon me.
Forgive for Good Day.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
No, we've got everything in there now. There'll be some adjustments today, but and it includes, which is really cool, over 9,000 donations, which is not only is our the money that we brought in an all-time high, but so is that donation.
If you pardon me, Christy, if you said 9,000 donations, if you divide that into 1.87 million, those are pretty. Those aren't small donations made by each individual. That's really awesome.
We had some big ones. Yeah. It's amazing. It shows the generosity of the community. Is there a
single largest donation you can share with us this morning,
or allowed to?
And their phone number, by the way. No, I'm just kidding.
I didn't, because the list is so long, I didn't go through all of it. But,
sure.
I mean, I saw a number of donations in the way of around $25,000.
Wow.
So there were a number of those.
Traditionally, Holy Angels is topping the list. Was that the case again this year?
Yes, Holy Angels brought in the most money, and then the entity that had the most unique donations was Robinson Film Center. So they had they had something like 280, maybe it was,
wow.
Donations. Yeah. So, and they brought in quite a bit less money, so it's really interesting. They've got a lot of love in this community, obviously.
If I was at an event last night and I gave them a cash donation or a check, is that included in this total of $1.87 million?
Well, it depends on the individual entity, but it should be. Most of them realize it's a really good idea for them to total all that up and get it in by midnight, because it helps out with what they get out of the Lanyap Fund. So most of them do that. I'm sure there are instances where maybe they didn't, but that was really interesting. Between 11:30 and 12 last night, lots of small donations were coming in, and I think that's the reason.
I saw that when I was donating the Lanyap Fund, I could add to my donations. I could add $1 or whatever I wanted to the Lanyap Fund. How big did that fund get this year? The Lanyap Fund is divided among all the agencies, right?
Yes, I believe it was about $230,000.
Wow. 1.87 million. Your goal was 2 million. You're darn close. You feeling good about it?
I feel awesome. I feel like what an awesome day. What an awesome privilege. And we're so happy that all these nonprofits are getting all these donations, and just really cool. Shows the generosity of the community.
Next year, do it again, do it bigger. Were there any glitches, any changes for next year?
Well, yeah, we got to get over 2 million next year. But I'll let you know after we have our internal recap meeting. But no, we didn't really have any glitches this year. The folks that run our software for that have got this down to an art. So, and they're on with us 24 hours. So whenever we need them. In fact, they actually checked on us last night because they hadn't heard from us in a while. Said no news is good news, So.
Christy Gustafson, can't thank you enough for all you do. I know it was a busy, busy day and night for you. Thanks for everything the Community Foundation does. Please thank all your staff. What a wonderful day. Give for Good Day as a wrap. 1.87 million.
And
congrats.
Congratulations.
Thank y'all. Well, thank y'all for all the coverage. We surely appreciate it. It's such an important day for the community, and we're happy to do it.
Thank you, Christy.
29 past 6 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Local news is next. Right now, Ruben, traffic time on KEEL.
Start things off nice and clear for your early morning drive to work or school, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on Kings Highway near Gilbert Drive due to construction. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Clouds and sun, breezy, warm and humid today, high 86 degrees. Plenty of clouds tonight with a low of 66. It'll stay mild. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
information. KEEL News now.
A bill to bring parity to funding for safety net hospitals makes it out of committee. Cedric Glover won support for his bill by just one vote in the Appropriations Committee. It now moves to the full House. Meantime, a long-term deal for Ochsner to take over the safety net hospitals in Shreveport and Monroe could be finalized within the month. A spokeswoman with Ochsner says they're committed to working with the state and that all parties involved want to strengthen the hospitals and unite the communities behind them. The Louisiana House has refused to enact new work requirements that could force the state health secretary to stop seeing patients as a medical doctor. Representative Lance Harris, the House GOP delegation leader, said his ethics legislation was not aimed at any specific official. Meantime, Secretary of State Tom Shedler announcing his resignation after being accused of sexually harassing an employee. Senator Karen Carter Peterson says Shedler's interim replacement, Kyle Ardoin, should step down if he knew of the harassment. The woman says so. Ardoin, though, denies it. Cotton Valley Mayor Joseph Alexander arrested for abuse of power. Allegedly, he was running a kickback scheme and skimming money from the town. An officer who shot and killed a man has been identified. Matt Parker with that.
Sergeant Kevin Anderson has been identified as the Shreveport police officer who shot and killed a man in downtown Shreveport over the weekend. Anderson has been a member of the force since 1994. According to reports, Anderson attempted to make contact with Brandon Busher Sunday afternoon. Busher then attacked Anderson and went for his gun, forcing Anderson to use deadly force. Sergeant Anderson has been placed on paid leave while a full investigation into the incident is conducted. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
Legislation to give you an opportunity to decide if sports gambling should be legal is one step away from final passage. Now, if it's approved, the Gaming Control Board would regulate fantasy sports gambling. Kirk Talbot says another bill would be introduced next year to determine how it would be taxed.
Do we want to do a set fee or a percentage of earnings for these companies? Some states do one of each. Some states do a combination of the two.
The vote in Judiciary B Committee was 4-1 in favor. States suing the federal government to end DACA, the program that permits hundreds of thousands of people brought into the country illegally by their parents when they were children to remain in the U.S. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton says his state is part of the lawsuit because the program gives the White House unchecked power.
Left intact, DACA sets a dangerous precedent by giving the executive branch sweeping authority to ignore the laws enacted by Congress and change our nation's immigration laws to suit a president's own preferences.
Louisiana is also part of that lawsuit. The U.S. House has passed a bill that would let Louisiana residents impacted by the 2016 floods to become eligible for grant money. Congressman Garrett Graves of Baton Rouge says the current recovery grant rules punish homeowners who didn't want to wait for the feds to come through.
We should be rewarding or thanking people who were proactive and went out there and sought loans so they could get back on their own 2 feet early on, not penalizing them.
The bill got near unanimous support in the House. Now it's headed to the Senate. Facebook launching a new dating feature, but don't think in terms of another Tinder app. Facebook CEO Jeff Zuckerberg says the Facebook dating app is not just for hookups, but it's aimed at building what Zuckerberg calls meaningful long-term relationships. And you've heard of police dogs, but a police cat? A police department outside of Detroit is giving new meaning to the term Paw Patrol by adding a cat to its ranks. Police officials in Troy, Michigan say the kitty will be used for therapeutic purposes and will make public appearances. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Mother's Day is next Sunday.
21 from 7 o'clock, 101.7 FM and 710 Keel. In just a couple of seconds, we will examine. So the people in Louisiana will vote on, well, not exactly sports gambling, not exactly sports gaming, but whether or not to legalize DraftKings, FanDuel, stuff like that.
Fantasy sports gambling.
That's what those are. Okay. So, but not like I want the Saints in 4.
I don't think that's what this is.
No, fantasy gambling is not that.
It's a different thing, yeah.
Yeah. Because right now, FanDuel, DraftKings, and like websites are, again, you can't do it in Louisiana. They will not. You go to those websites, and they ask you where you're from, and they know where you're from because they can tell where you're from, and sorry, Louisiana.
Well, how does everybody play those fantasy sports games?
Because they're legal in a lot of states.
But,
For instance,
like Matt and them play it here.
No,
How are they playing it?
But it's not for money. It's not FanDuel. But if, let's say hypothetically, because I know someone that does this, who's a big into fantasy sports and FanDuel, to play and get their team set up, they have to drive across the state line to Longview and do it on their phone.
Really?
It's against the law in Louisiana.
So you go over there. And what if you make trades and all? Do you have to drive over there to make trades?
Well, it doesn't work like that.
Okay.
It's not like a full league. We can get in that in the next segment and break it down, but it literally is a game of skill and it should be legal. But
You look puzzled.
Yeah, I just don't understand. I get the fantasy leagues and all that, and I know a lot
of
people who are in
states
them.
have deemed it to be legal. Courts have said it's not gambling. They say it's a game of skill.
Okay.
And they've left it to the individual states to make those decisions. And we in Louisiana, your lawmakers, have decided that FanDuel, DraftKings, and websites like that are not games of skill, but in fact gambling.
Yeah, we got to talk about the Cedric Glover appearance before the Appropriations Committee. You're not going to kind of believe what they argued with him about.
101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Traffic update right now. Ruben's ready.
Looks like I-20 eastbound's got it clear all the way to Monroe right now, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on I-49 northbound near Kings Highway. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Clouds and sun, breezy, warm and humid today. High 86 degrees. Plenty of clouds tonight with a low of 66. It'll stay mild. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. That KEEL app is a free download presented by Office Furniture Source.
Let me just tell you that the app, we had a lot of people calling yesterday because our transmitter's on low power, and so they couldn't hear us like in Stonewall and other places.
Had a little tube blow up about 10 days ago.
Yeah, load the app. You can listen to us anywhere. You can be in Zimbabwe. You can be in Destin.
Yeah.
You can be in Cleveland, Ohio, and LeBron James could listen. Anybody could listen anywhere you are.
Free download presented by Office Furniture Source.
Yes.
Okay, so Representative Cedric Glover introduced yesterday to the House Appropriations Committee a bill that would mandate equal distribution of funds for the state's charity hospitals.
For the safety net hospitals, New Orleans, all around the state. He says that the Shreveport and Monroe hospitals get a disproportionate low share.
The number he has quoted through the years is 32 cents on the dollar compared to New Orleans.
He's calling for a full audit to find out, is that accurate? Is that 32-cent figure accurate?
Nobody had been saying it.
Exactly. And then B, level the playing field so that if you treat a patient for a nosebleed and you get $100 for that, and we treat a patient for a nosebleed at University Health, we should also get $100 for that. The questioning, it got out of the House Appropriations Committee by one vote, which leads me to believe it's got no chance. But I say that to say this. Their big arguments, I'm sitting here watching the committee meeting now, their big arguments are well, we have to be concerned about the funding for those other hospitals. We need to protect the funding for those hospitals.
Well, if you're from New Orleans, why would you vote for Shreveport? At the end of the day,
why would you vote for fairness?
If you're from South Louisiana, why would you vote for Shreveport?
And this would impact funding for those other hospitals, because if you only have one pie, and now you got to divide it up evenly, and New Orleans doesn't get half the pie anymore, oops, you got a problem.
Well, that was one of Cedric's points. He's like, even if it doesn't get out, the voters and people in the state should be made aware that, hey, these guys are screwing parts of the state.
Well, perhaps
we need to see it.
Perhaps too strong a word, but let me frame it this way. If you are a representative from Orleans or Jefferson or one of the South Louisiana parishes, how is it in any way going to hurt you with your constituents if you vote against Shreveport? If you vote against Monroe,
it won't.
Exactly. So what's the big deal? So
but are you fair? Are you doing things fair?
You're missing the point.
I see your point.
How is it going to, when I can go home and say, I voted for you, I voted to keep the funding for this hospital. I didn't want Shreveport. Those North Louisiana hillbillies coming into your town and taking your money for your hospital and your babies, and I stood up for you.
Yeah.
You can frame it any way you want.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's a vote against Shreveport. Some guy running let's say that you are a representative from district, whatever it happens to be in New Orleans, and you vote against this. You say, Cedric, I can't go for this.
It takes money out of my hospital.
You're out your mind, dude. So let's say that I decide to run against you for your House seat this year. I'm going to run against you saying I would be fair?
If you voted for Cedric's bill, I'd run against you saying you cut funding to my hospital.
My point exactly.
Yeah.
The cornerstone of my campaign in New Orleans is going to be, I think New Orleans should get less funding for the hospital.
Well, we ought to bring the funding up. We ought to. What they ought to do is start doing a general increase in what Shreveport gets. And a slow decrease in what New Orleans gets. Try to make it fair.
John Bell, I don't know how to break this to you.
Not gonna happen.
We don't have any money.
We don't have any
money. You can't raise one without taking away from the other. There's only so much money.
I know.
And it ain't a lot.
I know.
And they already defunded, or at least trying to defund the hospital. So.
Yeah, I know. Cedric knows he's facing an uphill battle down there. My point
an
too
uphill
is
battle. The Alamo was an uphill battle.
Yeah. My whole point is he's going to have to get. Now this is headed to the House floor. If it by a miraculous way should pass out of the House, then we go to the Senate. The whole local delegation has got to be behind him. And I'm looking at the committee. I don't see any of the local delegations sitting there screaming for him. This is good. Go. We got to do this. We got to do this. They may be in the back of the room. I don't know. But they're not at the table with him. They're not pitching for him. They're not sitting
They
right behind him.
may know he's Davey at the Alamo swinging the butt of old Betsy at 1,000 Mexicans.
They may know he's DOA. I don't know.
What does Cedric always tell us? If you want the ball, you can't be afraid to get hit, and he's taking the hits on this one, trying to prove a point.
648, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel coming up just after 7 o'clock. What time is Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser?
The light governor is at 7:10.
Right now, it is, I just said 648. You want to go to traffic? You make the call, producer. Traffic and weather just ahead, plus your money now coming up here on Keel.
Looks like I-20 eastbound's got it clear
Good
all the way
morning,
to
649
Monroe right now, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on I-49 northbound near Kings Highway. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Clouds and sun, breezy, warm and humid today. High 86 degrees. Plenty of clouds tonight with a low of 66. It'll stay mild. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
.652, time for Keel Sports. Here's Fletch.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. Bird won the LHSAA Division I State Golf Tournament, 25 strokes ahead of second place Jesuit. The Yellow Jackets were led by Charlie Flynn, whose 140 total was also good for second best individual score. Teammates Jake Merler finished 2 shots back. Payne Johnson was +2 for the tourney. Marshall aboard, and Luke Atchison also played well for the champs. LSU signee Hayden White won the Division II State Golf Championship, helping his Benton Tiger teammates to their 6th state team title in the last 7 years and 7th in school history. The Tigers rallied from 1 shot down after the first round to win the team title by 6 strokes. Ryan Steed and Brody Romero were Benton's second and third top golfer, respectively. Captain Shreve's girls finished second in the D1 tourney. Rachel Dupree's second-place individual effort led the Lady Gators, who fell 7 shots shy of four-time state champion Sulphur. Steph Curry returned to action for Golden State in Game 2 of their playoff series with New Orleans after missing the last 16 games with a Grade 2 MCL sprain in his left knee. He nailed his first three-pointer when he was inserted into the game in the first quarter and finished with 28 points in the Warriors' 121-116 win over the Pelicans to take a 2-0 series lead. LeBron James had 26 points, 11 boards, and 13 assists to lead Cleveland to a 113-112 OT win in Toronto to take Game 1 of the Eastern semis. The Astros wasted Justin Verlander's 14 strikeout, 8 shutout inning performance last night. New York's Gary Sanchez broke a scoreless tie with a 3-run ninth-inning homer in the Yankees' 4-0 win. And Texans grabbed a much-needed 8-6 12-inning win over the Cleveland Indians to the Rangers. Finally get a win. From the Sports Desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
Erin McCarty, Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser from the great state of Louisiana. Still looks like penguins and French fries. It's an inside joke. Can they see the flag behind me?
Yeah, they can see the flag. It's
they can
beautiful.
see most of it.
Okay.
I want some of those fries.
If you look at the Louisiana state flag, with all respect to the Louisiana state flag, I know I said pelican. It's a penguin. I meant pelican.
It's a pelican, yeah.
If you look at the pelican nest on the Louisiana state flag, it looks like French fries. That's all.
Congrats to some of the Mudbugs guys. I don't know if you've heard or not yet, but they won some honors. The NAHL announced their division awards. Muskie's named General Manager of the Year. Zernis, Coach of the Year. The team wins Organization of the Year. Also, Dom Procopio.
The way you say that means you don't know how to say it.
Procopio.
Good job.
He's the Defenseman of the Year. So congrats. Big wins.
And they play Game 3 in their best-of-5 series against Lone Star Brahmas in Fort Worth this coming Friday night.
Oh, boy.
Game 4 is Saturday. Game 5, if necessary, is here Sunday night.
Do we have a pretty good traveling fan base? Fort Worth's not too far.
We will for this game.
There'll be a lot of folks going.
It's. I think it's around 100 from what I've seen on social media.
I think it might even be more than that.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. That's a pretty good.
And they could wrap it up with just one more win.
Yes. And then it's on to the semifinals and finals.
And that's not, none of those games are held here.
No.
Wisconsin,
the 4 division winners go to Blaine, Minnesota, just outside of Duluth.
Okay.
And they play a 4-team tournament, not round robin, semifinals and finals for the league championship.
Very cool.
Well, the reason being they go to a common site is because it's the travel schedules. You know, how are we going to play home and away with Fairbanks, Alaska?
That'd be a little tough.
In 2 weeks. Rush Limbaugh right now, and he's here on KEEL.
A couple of years ago, a group of courageous undercover journalists went on a mission. They secretly videoed what went on at several Planned Parenthood locations, and what they found was horrible and gruesome. It involved the harvesting and sale of aborted babies' body parts. Now, in January, the Trump Justice Department announced that they would investigate, and shortly after that, Planned Parenthood CEO Cecile Richards made an announcement of her own that she was going to resign. Well, this past Monday, Ms. Richards officially stepped down to big fanfare. Her daughter praised her for putting her heart and soul into the organization. Planned Parenthood thanked her for making the world a more just and equitable place. They said her legacy will not be forgotten. And I couldn't agree more with that. On Cecile Richards' watch, Planned Parenthood grew to become one of the biggest abortion mills in history. After 12 years, she leaves behind a record of 3.5 million abortions, as well as the harvesting and sale of baby body parts that's now under investigation. It's going to be hard for anybody to top that, but sadly, Planned Parenthood will find somebody somewhere who wants to try. Say, folks, if you own land, I'm sure you would love to have the time to work it, develop it, spend time with it. If so, go see my good friends at Mahindra. Because for a limited time, you can get one of Mahindra's best-selling tractors, the 2555 Shuttle with loader, and get up to $9,000 off MSRP. With 55 horsepower, it's great for all of you hobby farmers. Plus, the 2555 includes an industry-leading 7-year limited powertrain warranty. Mahindra also offers a full lineup of tractors from 20 horsepower all the way up to 125 horsepower. For offer details or to learn more about the world's #1 selling tractor, visit MahindraUSA.com.
Take advantage of rock-bottom prices and great financing on a new Mahindra, the world's #1 selling tractor. To find your local dealer and test drive a Mahindra, please visit MahindraUSA.com.
Keeping an eye right now on some slow-moving traffic on North Spring Street near East Stoner Avenue, and we have some traffic delays on Barksdale Boulevard near Westgate Drive in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline at 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Clouds and sun today. Breezy, warm and humid with a high of 86. Rather cloudy with a mild low of 66 for tonight. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Breaking news and trending talk. This is 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. KEEL, Shreveport.
Good morning at 7:03. Robert and Erin, 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Erin, local news, getting ready.
Legislation to give you an opportunity to vote on fantasy sports gambling could be legal soon. We'll talk more about that. The Secretary of State steps down amid sexual harassment allegations, and an area mayor is arrested. We'll tell you more about that, too.
So, FanDuel, DraftKings, you'll get to decide on their legality in the state of Louisiana.
Parish by parish. So you could vote yes in Bossier and no in Caddo.
Really?
So we could just sit on the Red River Bridge and do our betting.
Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser, back and forth. Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser in about 10 or 15 minutes. Fletcher in sports, traffic, and weather all here this hour coming up on KEEL.
If the audit finds, in fact,
Times Radio.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
Legislation to give voters an opportunity to decide if fantasy sports gambling should be legal is one step away from final passage. A Senate committee approved Representative Kirk Talbot's proposal.
If you're in the parish that votes it in, you can log on with your phone and make a draft or decide which teams to, or which players to play. If you're in a parish where they voted it out, you're not going to be able to log on to the site.
The vote in Senate Judiciary B committee was 4-1 in favor. It's now headed to the full Senate. First Assistant Kyle Ardoin will take over the agency that handles elections starting May 8th. He'll replace Secretary of State Tom Shedler, who resigned. Ardoin says, "At this moment, I'm interested in running the office, not running for the office." He says it's a department that means a lot to him.
I cherish this opportunity because many don't know the basis of which my heart belongs to this agency. It was my great aunt and my mother who worked in this agency for many years while I was a child.
The resignation will trigger a fall special election for the job. A bill to bring parity to funding for safety net hospitals makes it out of committee. Cedric Glover won support for his bill by just one vote in the Appropriations Committee. It now moves to the full House. A long-term deal for Ochsner Health to take over the safety net hospitals in Shreveport and Monroe could be finalized within the month. A spokeswoman with Ochsner says they're committed to working with the state, and all parties involved want to strengthen the hospitals and unite the community behind them. A mayor busted for abuse of power. Matt Parker with that.
Cotton Valley Mayor Joseph Alexander has been arrested for abuse of power. Allegedly, Alexander was running a kickback scheme and skimming money from the town. Webster Parish DA Skylar Marvin says an investigation into Alexander has been going on for several months. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
Sergeant Kevin Anderson, identified as the SPD officer who shot and killed a man in downtown Shreveport over the weekend. Anderson's been a member of the force since '94. Well, Give for Good Day is over. The total brought in $1.87 million, but those are preliminary numbers. It won't include the cash donations that were made at events all across the city. Holy Angels #1 on the list this year, again, bringing in more than $200,000. Investigators in the Russian election meddling probe floating the idea of forcing President Trump to testify under oath. A former attorney for the president, John Dowd, tells the AP that the special counsel in the Russia probe raised the prospect of issuing a grand jury subpoena for Trump. A veterinarian pleads not guilty to federal charges that he turned puppies into drug couriers for a Colombian trafficking ring by stitching packets of liquid heroin into their bodies. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Nine past 7 o'clock, KEEL traffic update. Ruben's here.
The intersection at Greenwood Road and Joella Avenue is dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we have some traffic delays on East Texas Street near Benton Road in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Clouds and sun, breezy, warm and humid today. High 86 degrees. Plenty of clouds tonight with a low of 66. It'll stay mild. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Hey, this is Martin.
Good morning, 11 past 7 o'clock. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. And the KEEL app is a free download, as always, from Office Furniture Source. Once again, Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser is here. Hey, Mr. Billy, how are you this morning?
I'm doing great. How you doing this morning?
Well, I know there's a lot of stuff you want to talk about, but if you don't mind, if you would sort of just bear with me a second. We remain in Louisiana in the midst of this budget fight, and, well, you know, what am I telling you, right? But we were looking a couple of weeks ago at the annual allocations for different departments. And one of the ones that stood out, and it's a point you always make, is that the Lieutenant Governor's office, your office, does so much with so little. And we were looking at the actual appropriations for the office of Lieutenant Governor. And, I mean, we can get into numbers if we want, but it's next to nothing, for heaven's sake. How do you manage to keep your nose above water?
Well, I tell you, we've got great people that do 3 and 4 jobs each. I tell everybody on my floor we've got more empty desks than we have desks with people in it. But incredible people that are dedicated and juggle a lot of balls in the air. But you know, a lot of people don't realize is with the budget cuts we've seen last year and this year, but prior to that, in the good days, in the last 10 years, the Lieutenant Governor's office has been cut almost 50%. Prior to these cuts, the last governor took $54 million that was generated by state parks in 8 years and swept that money for other things. And that's the reason why we've struggled with repairs and maintenance. That money was usually used to keep our parks in good shape. So for the last 10 years, they have raided those funds from the state park. So
I'm not trying to suck up here, but couldn't other departments across the state of Louisiana, if not running as bare bones a budget, and guys, you can look the numbers up, and not running as bare bones a budget as you do, but couldn't other departments across the state maybe learn something from you?
Well, you know, I've come from private business, and my goal with our new foundation, in a few years, we'll be on the radio talking about all the money the state parks are making, and I believe we can see a day where the state parks cost the taxpayers of Louisiana nothing. We're looking at that do these private-public partnerships. We're looking at building a resort conference center on the lake, 500 acres we own next to Fontainebleau State Park. One resort in West Virginia on their state park ground brought in $50 million. So we're going to do things like that. I can't do anything about the other departments, but we're going to think outside the box. A company in Alabama put zip lines in the state parks. They pay the state park system $500,000 a year. We're going to be looking at things like that to generate money. As a matter of fact, just by reorganizing our staff, 3 state parks made money a few months ago for the first time ever. We have state parks that are making more money than they're spending. So we're well on our way, even in tough budget times, to running the department more like a business and making sure we're doing everything we can to save money.
Billy, you've got some new tourism numbers that this is what makes me smile and makes me happy. 6th straight year of increased visitation and spending by tourists. So if we keep this up, that's going to fix our budget all by itself, right?
I tell you, you know, as I look at other states and what they do to lure tourists and what can we do differently, I absolutely believe that tourism, because of our people and the way we treat visitors, that's our greatest asset. When people come here, they leave with a warm and fuzzy feeling. We've got great food and culture and beautiful fishing, but what we got that no one else has is we tell people good morning, good evening. We invite them to our backyard for a crawfish boil. That doesn't happen anywhere else in the world visitors go. And so you're absolutely right. I think tourism, even with the money we spend compared to other states, our numbers continue to go up, and it's because of the way we treat people.
Let me ask you this, Billy, and this is kind of an elephant in the room when we talk about tourism, that Louisiana is New Orleans and the rest of us. What advice would you give to Shreveport-Bossier leaders in terms of, we know lots of folks are going to New Orleans, let's figure out how to get them to stop here while they're en route?
Well, first thing we got to do is pay attention to all areas of the state. You know, I've been last year over 350 speaking engagements to every group around this state to learn what's important to those areas. We've got the Miss USA pageant going to Shreveport. I met with a group yesterday about a film fest up there. You just got to engage every part of the state and make sure it's as important. Now, New Orleans is always going to be the draw, and that's why we're looking at one option, thinking outside the box, but we're talking to city officials about the possibility of making the French Quarter a state park, because the only way we're going to clean up the French Quarter and make it family-friendly again is if we get rid of the crime, clean up the streets, and make it something like the main street in Crowley, where it's impressive. Every year we hold our breath, hoping crime doesn't get worse, because so goes New Orleans, so goes the rest of the state. So we have a vested interest in making sure, but for 30 years we've been talking about it, and there's not enough voters in the French Quarter, I don't believe, to ever get the city of New Orleans to fix it the way it ought to be fixed.
You know,
so we're
Billy,
thinking outside the box. And
boy, that's way outside the box.
Well, we've got to do something. We've got to put our best foot forward. You know, when you go to Branson, Missouri, or Jackson Hole, Wyoming, or Nashville, those downtown areas are spotless, and you're excited when you're there. We've got to make all areas of the state, that exciting. A lot of areas of our state do that. They put their best foot forward. We've got to help New Orleans along and make it a shining part of the state. Imagine If the streets in the French Quarter look like Main Street in Crowley, how beautiful that street has been redone. The feeling you get when you walk into the French Quarter and shop in those shops. So we've got to look at it. It's always going to be a draw, but now we're promoting Mardi Gras and the great value of Mardi Gras and the family atmosphere in everywhere in the state that has Mardi Gras. That's going to be part of our Mardi Gras campaign, not just New Orleans. So you just got to care a little bit about sharing that wealth. And also with the international visitors, get them. They stay longer, spend more money. It's our job to make sure after they spend a few days in New Orleans that they see the rest of Louisiana, how beautiful it is.
Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser, when you travel in the state for Tourism Week next week, I hope you'll stop in with us and join us for one morning.
I would be more than happy. It'd be my honor.
Thank you, Billy. Appreciate your time.
Have a great day.
19 past 7 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Fletcher and Sports, just a couple of seconds away. Right now, traffic time. Here's Ruben.
The intersection at Greenwood Road and Joella Avenue is dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we have some traffic delays on East Texas Street near Benton Road in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Clouds and sun, breezy, warm and humid today. High 86 degrees. Plenty of clouds tonight with a low of 66. It'll stay mild. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Past 7 o'clock, Keel Sports.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. Bird won the LHSAA Division I State Golf Tournament, 25 strokes ahead of second place Jesuit. The Yellow Jackets were led by Charlie Flynn, whose 140 total was also good for second best individual score. Teammates Jake Marler finished 2 shots back. Payne Johnson was +2 for the tourney. Marshall aboard and Luke Atchison also played well for the champs. LSU signee Hayden White won the Division II State Golf Championship, helping his Benton Tiger teammates to their 6th state team title in the last 7 years and 7th in school history. The Tigers rallied from 1 shot down after the first round to win the team title by 6 strokes. Ryan Steed and Brody Romero were Benton's 2nd and 3rd top golfer, respectively. Captain Shreve's girls finished 2nd in the D1 tourney. Rachel Dupree's second-place individual effort led the Lady Gators, who fell 7 shots shy of 4-time state champion Sulphur. Steph Curry returned to action for Golden State in Game 2 of their playoff series with New Orleans after missing the last 16 games with a Grade 2 MCL sprain in his left knee. He nailed his first three-pointer when he was inserted into the game in the first quarter and finished with 28 points in the Warriors' 121-116 win over the Pelicans to take a 2-0 series lead. LeBron James had 26 points, 11 boards, and 13 assists to lead Cleveland to a 113-112 OT win in Toronto to take Game 1 of the Eastern semis. The Astros wasted Justin Verlander's 14-strikeout, 8-shutout inning performance last night. New York's Gary Sanchez broke a scoreless tie with a 3-run ninth-inning homer in the Yankees' 4-0 win. And Texans grabbed a much-needed 8-6 12-inning win over the Cleveland Indians to the Rangers. Finally get a win. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher. No.
23 past 7 o'clock, 101.7 FM and 710 Keel. Okay, so we're going to run these sound bites from Matt's computers, not from yours.
Right.
Because your computers are tied up recording other sound bites from the House Appropriations Committee
that was
meeting
some juicy stuff
yesterday.
Yeah.
So State Representative Cedric Glover has introduced a measure, went up before the House Appropriations Committee yesterday, that would say that the Shreveport, the North Louisiana charity hospitals here and Monroe have to get parity funding, equal funding with the ones down south below I-10.
They don't call them charity anymore, but that's all right.
The safety net hospitals.
To be politically correct.
The charity hospitals.
Yeah.
You know what? They worked when they were charity hospitals.
They did work then. You're right.
And Cedric and I have talked about this. There are those who will say that Jindal's privatization plan is a total freaking disaster. That the problem those hospitals are in right now is because Bobby Jindal did away with an infrastructure for the state charity hospitals run by the state that was doing a pretty damn good job. Cedric says it was a good idea, i.e. the privatization, a good idea, but horribly implemented.
Yes.
I said, it's kind of the same thing, isn't it? So
this is state, and it's really amazing. For Shreveport-Bossier folks, listen to these numbers loud and clear, because this isn't just Cedric now pounding on the table. This is State Representative Tony Bacala from Pineville, who sits on the Appropriations Committee, and he talked about the details of the disparity.
Hang on just a second.
According to
kill that. Just kill it a second. We're running this all off Matt's side, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we have Bacala first talking about what?
The details of the disparity.
According to documents from LDH, they're showing that they're being reimbursed 156.3% of the actual costs incurred, whereas if you look at University Health in Shreveport, they're getting reimbursed 79.6% of actual cost incurred.
Did you hear that? New Orleans, 150-some% of costs incurred. Shreveport's getting 79% of costs incurred.
This Bacala guy's from Pineville, right? Republican from Pineville.
Yes.
Okay.
He talked more about the disparity.
Roughly, it's not exactly 2-to-1, but the truth is that University New Orleans is getting reimbursed at a rate almost twice as the amount of Shreveport, probably 40% more.
40% more. Then up to the table with Cedric Glover, they called up Undersecretary of DHH Jeff Reynolds, and he stepped in to try to explain, make a little sense of why New Orleans gets more than University Health.
In New Orleans, they have the sickest clients. I've got some charts here that I'd be glad to share with the committee that show that for every client, New Orleans spends about $1.60, and Shreveport spends about $1.20. So there is some built-in cost differences.
That's the dumbest thing I ever heard.
Isn't that stupid?
Okay, so basically what? What's this guy, Jeff Reynolds?
Jeff Reynolds, yeah.
What's his job?
He's the DHH Undersecretary.
So what he is saying is his explanation.
Isn't that silly?
For New Orleans getting more money is, well, their people are sicker.
They're sicker.
No, the reason New Orleans spends more money is because they have more money. We're underfunded. We have less to spend per patient. And he's saying, well, that's
I know.
And this guy is in a very important position.
Oh, he could sway this vote one way or the other.
Well, he's not going to change the mind of Representative Mark Abraham
and many others.
Mark Abraham from, where was he from?
Lake Charles.
Lake Charles. And these are mostly Republican guys.
Yeah.
So Abraham, a Republican from Lake Charles, set this cut up.
He told Glover and others on the committee why there was no way he could support the bill.
So that finite UPL pool, okay, could be detrimental to the other hospitals, not Shreveport in New Orleans. That's my issue that I have with this.
That is a possibility, yes, sir.
For that reason, I mean, I can't support it because of that reason. I can't jeopardize losing dollars at the other safety net hospitals.
In other words, I'm not.
Don't take money out of mine.
Basically, screw you.
Leave mine alone.
Yeah.
You're SOL.
Yes, exactly.
Too bad for you.
Exactly. I am, and it was the point that's been made all along, a point that you made prior to the introduction of the bill, that there's only so much pie to go around.
Yes.
Why is New Orleans? Why would Lafayette give up a share of theirs
Because they're sicker, they get more money.
Right.
Can you help me with that a little bit?
No, it's totally
because
nuts.
The people in New Orleans are sicker. They have to get.
The reason we spend less money per patient is because we get less money per patient. He is in literal contradiction of the very first guy. The very first guy, Bacala, says New Orleans gets 153% payback. Shreveport gets, what was it, 79?
79.
Okay. And then the second guy says, well, the reason that is because, no, the reason is not because New Orleans people are sicker. Go to the emergency room at University Health and explain that one.
How do you have a DHH undersecretary saying the people in New Orleans are sicker than the people in Shreveport?
Why don't you see where he's from? Why don't you look and see where
I
Jeff...
need to get him on the phone.
Why don't you see where Jeff... I don't want to talk to Jeff Reynolds.
I do. I want to yell at him. Can I yell at him?
You can yell at him right now. Find out where he's from. Look, what I said to you last hour. There is no south of I-10 legislator who is going to vote against the best interests of his constituents.
Yeah.
And there is no way that you will convince them that being fair, air quotes, it can't possibly hurt them at the ballot box.
We need to do something about this today because this came out of the committee on a favorable vote, Cedric's bill, by one vote. Which, for me, I mean, I know the workings of how this works.
Do you think
it's doomed?
Do you think Mark Abraham is the majority or the minority? Mark Abraham, who says, I'm not giving anything up. There's only so much money.
He's going to be the majority. This is going to get crushed on the House floor.
29 past 7 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Here's Ruben.
Keeping an eye right now on some slow-moving traffic on Hearn Avenue near Hollywood Avenue. And we're still keeping an eye on that accident on I-20 eastbound near Benton Road in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Clouds and sun, breezy, warm and humid today. High 86 degrees. Plenty of clouds tonight with a low of 66. It'll stay mild. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Information. KEEL News now.
A bill to bring parity to funding for safety net hospitals makes it out of committee. Cedric Glover won support for his bill by just one vote in the Appropriations Committee. It now moves to the full House. Meantime, a long-term deal for Ochsner to take over the safety net hospitals in Shreveport and Monroe could be finalized within the month. A spokeswoman with Ochsner says they're committed to working with the state and that all parties involved want to strengthen the hospitals and unite the communities behind them. The Louisiana House has refused to enact new work requirements that could force the state health secretary to stop seeing patients as a medical doctor. Representative Lance Harris, the House GOP delegation leader, said his ethics legislation was not aimed at any specific official. Meantime, Secretary of State Tom Shedler announcing his resignation after being accused of sexually harassing an employee. Senator Karen Carter-Peterson says Shedler's interim replacement, Kyle Ardoin, should step down if he knew of the harassment. The woman says so. Ardoin, though, denies it. Cotton Valley Mayor Joseph Alexander arrested for abuse of power. Allegedly, he was running a kickback scheme and skimming money from the town. An officer who shot and killed a man has been identified. Matt Parker with that.
Sergeant Kevin Anderson has been identified as the Shreveport police officer who shot and killed a man in downtown Shreveport over the weekend. Anderson has been a member of the force since 1994. According to reports, Anderson attempted to make contact with Brandon Busher Sunday afternoon. Busher then attacked Anderson and went for his gun, forcing Anderson to use deadly force. Sergeant Anderson has been placed on paid leave while a full investigation into the incident is conducted. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
Legislation to give you an opportunity to decide if sports gambling should be legal is one step away from final passage. Now, if it's approved, the Gaming Control Board would regulate fantasy sports gambling. Kirk Talbot says another bill would be introduced next year to determine how it would be taxed.
Do we want to do a set fee or a percentage of earnings for these companies? Some states do one of each. Some states do a combination of the two.
The vote in Judiciary B Committee was 4-1 in favor. States suing the federal government to end DACA, the program that permits hundreds of thousands of people brought into the country illegally by their parents when they were children to remain in the U.S. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton says his state is part of the lawsuit because the program gives the White House unchecked power.
Left intact, DACA sets a dangerous precedent by giving the executive branch sweeping authority to ignore the laws enacted by Congress and change our nation's immigration laws to suit a president's own preferences.
Louisiana is also part of that lawsuit. The U.S. House has passed a bill that would let Louisiana residents impacted by the 2016 floods to become eligible for grant money. Congressman Garrett Graves of Baton Rouge says the current recovery grant rules punish homeowners who didn't want to wait for the feds to come through.
We should be rewarding or thanking people who were proactive and went out there and sought loans so they could get back on their own 2 feet early on, not penalizing them.
The bill got near unanimous support in the House. Now it's headed to the Senate. Facebook launching a new dating feature, but don't think in terms of another Tinder app. Facebook CEO Jeff Zuckerberg says the Facebook dating app is not just for hookups, but it's aimed at building what Zuckerberg calls meaningful long-term relationships. And you've heard of police dogs, but a police cat? A police department outside of Detroit is giving new meaning to the term Paw Patrol by adding a cat to its ranks. Police officials in Troy, Michigan say the kitty will be used for therapeutic purposes and will make public appearances. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Good day, by the way. Yesterday, it wrapped up at midnight last night. $1.87 million raised in our local community.
101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, and that's not everything. I mean, there's some add-ons.
There'll be some stuff that'll trickle in, like if there were some
work?
cash donations at some of the events that some of the charities haven't registered yet.
Mm-hmm.
Those will trickle in. We're going to close in on but the folks tell us that it looks like this will be close to the final number, but We were at 1.6 last year, now 1.87, close to $1.9 million.
And the nonprofit that got the most,
Holy Angels again. I think they've led the pack every year.
Yeah.
They got about 200,000.
You don't have the top 4 or 5 in front of
I
you.
don't have it right in front of me, yeah.
738, 1017 FM, 710 Keel, State Representative Cedric Glover in a couple of seconds.
I've got my blood pressure so high right now, I'm hoping he can calm me down. He's got my blood pressure on off the chart.
No. Not he. He's down there trying.
This DHH doodlehead. He's got my blood. I'm going to need extra care at University Health. I'm sicker than anybody in New Orleans today.
You might want to go to New Orleans. You'll get better care.
Yeah, you're right.
If not more money. 739, 1017 FM, 710 Keel. Here's Ruben.
The intersection at North Market and North Hearn Avenues dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we're still keeping an eye on that minor accident on I-20 eastbound near Benton Road in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Clouds and sun, breezy, warm and humid today. High 86 degrees. Plenty of clouds tonight with a low of 66. It'll stay mild. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
.117 FM and 710 Keel. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. Keel app's a free download presented by Office Furniture Source. State Representative Cedric Glover introduced a bill yesterday to codify parity in funding with all the state, I'm going to say, charity hospitals, safety net hospitals. Cedric, how are you this morning? Thank you for taking time for us.
Doing well, guys. How y'all doing?
Well, here's how this is going to work.
I'm going crazy.
Just settle down there. Erin is freaking out because she watched a lot of video from the committee, from the Appropriations Committee yesterday, and she listened to the DHH Undersecretary Reynolds.
And I want to punch him.
Talking about how New Orleans gets more money because their people are sicker.
Yeah.
And then the Mark Abraham guy from Lake Charles who says, sorry, kids, I'm not giving up my piece of the pie, so I'm going to let you guys talk for a couple of seconds. And basically, this is going to be difficult for you because you are going to have to intersperse facts with talking Erin off the ledge.
I'm on the ledge, Cedric.
Are you up for that this morning?
Well, I think Erin should stay right on the ledge where she is right now. I think you guys are starting to see what I have been saying at least for the last 3 years, and this is probably one of the primary reasons why I chose to come back and try and become part of the legislature again, because these are realities that have been a part of the history of the state of Louisiana for decades, and I'm just one of those folks who's committed now to trying to bring some clarity, some transparency, and hopefully some balance to how these things have worked for decades.
They
claim they brought home the bacon, but they're actually, putting us in a position where we're getting the short end of the stick year after year and situation after situation.
Representative Tony Bacala, I hope I'm saying the name right, from Pineville, said in testimony in your committee meeting yesterday that the New Orleans Charity Hospital, Safety Net Hospital, gets, what is it, $153?
153% of cost.
153% of cost. The Shreveport Hospital gets 79% of cost. Are those numbers right?
Well, that is certainly one set of numbers out there that indicates and confirms in similar fashion to what's come from the Shreveport Hospital, which indicates a 32 cents to $1. But yes, that's part of what this legislation seeks to try and determined is that it tasked the Department of Health with auditing the actual costs of the Shreveport and Monroe operations compared to the New Orleans Medical School hospital operations, and determining through confirmation by the legislative auditor whether or not those numbers are accurate. If they are, in fact, in line with what Representative Bacala has indicated and what has come from University Health, or whatever the actual number is, it then tasks the department, the state, the administration with balancing those numbers out and giving to Shreveport and Monroe its fair share of what it's due for doing the job that it's performing right now at an exceptional level.
Now you get Jeff Reynolds up there, the DHH undersecretary, and he said, and please straighten me out if I'm wrong, he said the reason New Orleans gets so much more is because the patients they treat are sicker.
Again, Erin, I'm not going to talk you off this list. I'm glad you're there now. I've been there a while, but just level down and let's buckle in and let's be committed to doing what's necessary in order to try and balance this out, bring to this process the transparency that it deserves, and then figure out if we have the gumption to try and figure out how we balance this out so that Shreveport and Monroe can get its fair share to do the job that it has to do the same way the rest of the state does.
Does his argument have any merit that they're sicker? Is there any merit to that at all? Can you kind of explain it to me that maybe would make sense?
That's not a task I'm willing to take on.
When the undersecretary of the State Department of Health and Human Services makes a statement like he made yesterday, that is nothing short of just it's just insane.
It's absurd.
Let's pass the legislation.
It's silly
Go
talk.
through the process, and if that is a relevant factor, then let that be discovered in the audit process that will go forward.
But doesn't that tell you when somebody that high up in DHH says that is just so silly to me? Doesn't that tell you that for lack of a better term, the deep state, the fix is in for New Orleans?
Well, it tells me that this is always an uphill battle. But again, and these are hard tasks that if we expect to be effective representatives of the folks who have trusted us to come here to Baton Rouge and be their voice, then that is the type of rhetoric. Those are the types of arguments. Those are the types of challenges that we have the responsibility to take on, to not back away from, and be determined that we attempt as best we can and try and break through. And on yesterday, we made a little progress in that regard.
So let's get down to the nuts and bolts.
Headed to the House floor, no chance, right?
Made out of committee by one vote, and now it's on the floor. When is the vote?
And who do I need to scream at?
If there's ever a definition of a man working the room, it's got to be you.
Well, absolutely. We started by thanking all of those folks yesterday, starting with Representative Bacala and the others who stepped up and spoke truth and helped us move this legislation out. And it was a bipartisan, biracial, and across a geographic effort to cobble together those 9 votes, and I'm very thankful for them. We also listened very intently to folks like Representative Abraham, who is speaking on behalf of his a hospital there, but now what he doesn't understand, and what we're going to be working with him and others to try and make sure that we don't end up endangering with regard to this legislation, is that we're talking about the safety net hospitals right now that are contracted to work with the state's 2 public medical schools to provide the medical and clinical training to train new healthcare professionals. So those are the 2 apple-to-apple scenarios when it comes to costs and overhead and other things that this legislation specifically involves. And so we're going to make sure that we have to adjust, amend, that we don't end up doing anything that affects the Lake Charles and the Lafayettes and the Alexandrias and those others who don't have the kind of direct affiliation with the medical schools the way the 2 hospitals in Shreveport and New Orleans.
Cedric, when men like Representative Abraham from Lake Charles stand up and say, and we have the soundbite, well, we can't give more to Shreveport because that means we down here would get less, which is true. How do you overcome that?
Well, that's the task and the challenge that we have, and to somehow make sure that this is a situation where the balancing of this situation comes between those entities that have the most in common with regard to the responsibilities that we're tasking them with. And in this case, that is the two hospitals here in Shreveport and Monroe that are attached to the Shreveport Medical Schools, and the hospital in New Orleans that's attached to the New Orleans Medical School. That's the apple to apple.
Our last 30 seconds. Do you realistically have a chance of passing this on the House floor?
Well, now, here's what I will tell you. In 1965, House Bill 47, that was at that time authored by State Representative J. Bennett Johnson, passed out of committee by a 6-5 vote. That's the bill that created the Shreveport Medical School in the first place. So tight votes in committee are not anything new, but if you expect to accomplish something great, you've got to be willing to dare to take on the task. That's what we're doing right now. If we don't break through this year, we'll be back next week.
Cedric Glover, State Representative, thanks for your time this morning. I'm going to go take my blood pressure medicine.
Thank you guys as well.
749, 1017 FM, 710 Keel. Time for traffic. Time for Ruben.
The intersection at North Market and North Hearn Avenue is dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we're still keeping an eye on that minor accident on I-20 eastbound near Benton Road in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Here's your KeelAccuWeather.com forecast. Let me take a deep breath. Mostly sunny again today. A beautiful day near 80. Right now, 70 degrees at Keel. It's 750. Your money now. $752 Keel Sports.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. Bird won the LHSAA Division I State Golf Tournament, 25 strokes ahead of second place Jesuit. The Yellow Jackets were led by Charlie Flynn, whose 140 total was also good for second best individual score. Teammates Jake Marler finished 2 shots back. Payne Johnson was +2 for the tourney. Marshall Laborde and Luke Atchison also played well for the champs. LSU signee Hayden White won the Division II State Golf Championship, helping his Benton Tiger teammates to their 6th state team title in the last 7 years and 7th in school history. The Tigers rallied from 1 shot down after the first round to win the team title by 6 strokes. Ryan Steed and Brody Romero were Benton's 2nd and 3rd top golfer, respectively. Captain Shreve's girls finished 2nd in the D1 tourney. Rachel Dupree's second-place individual effort led the Lady Gators, who fell 7 shots shy of 4-time state champion Sulphur. Steph Curry returned to action for Golden State in Game 2 of their playoff series with New Orleans after missing the last 16 games with a Grade 2 MCL sprain in his left knee. He nailed his first three-pointer when he was inserted into the game in the first quarter and finished with 28 points in the Warriors' 121-116 win over the Pelicans to take a 2-0 series lead. LeBron James had 26 points, 11 boards, and 13 assists to lead Cleveland to a 113-112 OT win in Toronto to take Game 1 of the Eastern semis. The Astros wasted Justin Verlander's 14 strikeout, 8 shutout inning performance last night. New York's Gary Sanchez broke a scoreless tie with a 3-run ninth-inning homer in the Yankees' 4-0 win. And Texans grabbed a much-needed 8-6 12-inning win over the Cleveland Indians to the Rangers. Finally get a win. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
.755, 101.7 FM and 710 Keel. See, the fact that you said toxic masculinity, they just don't accept the template.
I just find it hilarious.
Masculinity is not toxic.
You like red meat and hunting and women? You're a problem for society.
Yeah, you need to be gotten rid of.
But, see, you're making the point exactly. Mm-hmm. And Matt and I sort of had a little back and forth about that last night. There is it at University of Texas?
Yeah, they just debuted a new, their Council for Mental Health or whatever is launching a new program to, quote, help male students take control of their gender identity and develop a healthy sense of masculinity.
In other words, being a guy is mental illness. Masculinity is a mental illness.
If you like to hunt, drink, chase women,
masculinity
and eat
is a
red meat.
mental illness.
Hold the thought.
Masculinity is not a mental illness.
You're both missing the point. Just think of Martin Niemöller on this one now.
Y'all are trying to harm me today.
Not me. The University of Texas. Southern universities, even Southern universities, have become so radically left-wing. We will discuss when we get back. And I want you to think about something. I got to hurry. Who is the one man in America today, other than Donald Trump, who must be destroyed? Keep your thoughts to yourself. We will discuss. Right now, here's Sean Hannity on KEEL.
The truth and nothing but. This is the Sean Hannity Morning Minute.
Hey, if you listen to the mainstream media, Democrats on Capitol Hill, well, they will have you believing the 2018 midterm elections will see a blue wave sweep across the nation. Maybe it happens, but the Washington Times points out that record fundraising for the GOP and polling is showing that Americans believe the country is on the right track, and that might mean the much-anticipated blue wave, it could be a total washout. We will see. Rasmussen Reports poll in mid-April found 40% of the American people say the country's headed in the right direction. So maybe, just maybe, Americans are happy with their record low unemployment levels, higher wages, and certainly a stronger national security.
Keeping you on the straight path. Later today, it's the Sean Hannity Show.
All right, I recently gave my home a facelift. I did it the best and simplest way possible. Brand new blinds from Blinds.com. Every single order gets free shipping. And guess what? Their prices, they're unbeatable. Now, let's say you accidentally mismeasure. You pick the wrong color. They will remake your blinds for free. Blinds.com, the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings. Site-wide savings happening right now, plus an additional 5% off when you go to Blinds.com/Hannity. That's Blinds.com/Hannity. Rules, restrictions apply.
Every business needs great people, and the better way to find them. Something better than posting your job online and just praying for the right people to see it. ZipRecruiter revolutionized hiring. Their technology finds great candidates for you. No wonder 80% of employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site in just one day. Goodbye post and pray. Hello ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Try it for free today at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Keeping an eye right now on some slow-moving traffic on Hearn Avenue near Hollywood Avenue. And we're still keeping an eye on that accident on I-20 eastbound near Benton Road in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Here's your KeelAccuWeather.com forecast. Kind of sunny, a few clouds again today, warm again near 80. Right now it is 70 at Keel.
Breaking news and trending talk. This is 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. KEEL, Shreveport.
That this morning?
Well, I think Erin should stay right on the ledge where she is right now. I think you guys are starting 3 years, and this is probably one of the primary reasons as why I chose to come back and try and become part of the legislature again, because these are realities that have been a part of the history of the state of Louisiana for decades, and I'm just one of those folks who's committed now to trying to bring some clarity, some transparency, and hopefully some balance as to how these things have worked for decades. They claim they brought home the
Free past 8 o'clock. Robert and Erin, 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Erin, local news. You're flexing. She's stretching out, getting ready right now.
Give for Good Day is a wrap. How did we do? We'll talk more about that. The safety net hospital deal could be finalized by the end of the month, and the Secretary of State bowing out.
Well, the one from Louisiana, not like Mike Pompeo.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also have some historical numbers about voter turnout. I want to pass that along.
God, we got lots to do.
So much.
We have to rerun those sound bites from the DHH guy in Baton Rouge.
Boy, do we?
Some of the Cedric quotes and stuff like that about why we get markedly less money for our safety net hospital. If we have time, well, we definitely will do this first.
Yeah.
Is toxic masculinity and why Matt Parker is a marked man.
You men are trouble.
Who knew? Fletcher in sports, traffic, and weather. It's all coming up this hour, and it's right here on KEEL. That the New Orleans.
Well, that is certainly one. Well, that is certainly one set of numbers out there that indicate in similar fashion to what's come from the Shreveport Hospital. But yes, that's part of what this legislation seeks to try and determine. The Department of Health was auditing the actual cost of the Shreveport and Monroe in line with what Representative Bach has indicated and what has come from University Health or whatever.
And he said, and please, is because...
Again, Erin, I'm not going to talk you off. I've been there a while, but just level down and let's buckle in and let's be committed to doing what's necessary in order to try and balance this out, bring to this process the transparency in order to try and balance this out, bring to doing what's necessary in order to try committed to doing what's necessary, and let's be committed to doing what's necessary. Let's be committed to doing what's necessary in order to try and balance this out, bring to this process the transparency that it deserves, and then figure out if we have the gumption to try and figure out how we balance this out so that Shreveport and Monroe can get its fair share to do the job that it has to do the same way the rest of the state does.
Does his argument have any...
Monroe can get its fair share to do the job that it has to do the same way the rest of the state. Shreveport and Monroe can get its fair share to do the job that it has to do the same way the rest of the state.
Does his argument have any... to me that...
That's not a task I'm willing to take on.
When the of the it's just in
process, and if that is a relevant factor, then let's pass the legislation.
It's silly
go
talk.
Through the process, and if that is then let that be discovered in the audit process.
But doesn't that tell you?
Well, it tells me that this is always an uphill battle. But again, and these are hard tasks that if we expect to be effective representatives of the folks who, these are hard tasks that if we expect to be effective representatives of the folks who have trusted us to come here to Baton Rouge and be their voice, then that is the type of rhetoric. Those are the types of arguments. Those are the types of challenges that we have a responsibility to take on. To not back away from, and be determined that we attempt as best we can and try and break through. And on yesterday, we made a little progress in that regard.
So let's get down to the nuts and bolts. If there's ever...
Well, absolutely. We started by thanking... Well, absolutely. We started by thanking all of those folks yesterday, starting with Representative Bacala and the others that are attached to the Shreveport Medical Schools and the hospital in New Orleans. Well, yeah, that's the task and the challenge that when it comes to cost and overhead and other things that this legislation specifically involves. And so we're going to make sure that we have to adjust, amend, that we don't end up doing anything that affects the Lake Charles and the Lafayettes and the Alexander, don't end up endangering with regard to this legislation. This 47 that was at that time authored by State Representative out of committee by a city. So tight votes in committee are not anything new, but if you expect us to accomplish something great, you've got to be willing to dare to take on the task. That's what we're doing right now. If we don't break through this year, we'll be back next week.
If lawmakers pass a plan that offers big raises and increased school funding. Congrats to some Shreveport Mudbugs, the NAHL announcing division awards. Scott Musket named GM of the Year, Carlos Zernest Coach of the Year. The team wins Organization of the Year. Also, Dom Procopio is Defenseman of the Year. The Space Agency going back to Mars for the first time in 6 years with a robotic geologist to dig deeper than ever before to take the planet's temperature and measure its pulse. And police say a University of Alabama student allegedly pulled down a woman's pants while she was jogging near the campus and later broke into a nearby home stealing women's underwear. The guy's been caught and faces a series of charges. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Ten past 8 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL traffic time.
The intersection of Uri Drive and East Bergtoon's Industrial Loop's dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we just received reports of a minor accident on I-20 eastbound near Traffic Street in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Clouds and sun, breezy, warm and humid today. High 86 degrees. Plenty of clouds tonight with a low of 66. It'll stay mild. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Just stand by, because there's going to be some brains exploding in this room momentarily, and they ain't going to be mine. 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty.
I'm looking at this. Unhealthy masculinity can restrict the emotional development of students.
Hang on just a second. So I get a message from Matt last night, and it's a link to an article.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to do with University of Texas, and it says the Counseling and Mental Health Center Hold your horses, kid. You can expound a little bit in just a second.
I'm just doing some breathing exercises.
Might want to kick into the Kegels.
Oh, boy.
The Counseling and Mental Health Center at University of Texas at Austin recently launched a new program to help male students take control of their gender identity and develop a healthy sense of masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you take from that? What do we say? Don't accept the template.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Just because I'm pro Second Amendment doesn't mean I'm for school shootings.
Yeah.
Basically what this says, the template of this at University of Texas, of all places.
Yeah. UT Austin.
The template, have you been to Austin? You may as well go to Moscow. The point being,
Berkeley.
The point, is Darth Vader in the room?
May the fourth be with you.
Just trying not to yell.
The point is that the template of this statement is that if you are a white male, that you are guilty by association of hundreds and hundreds of years of oppression, and you must be tossed aside. And what they're saying is, if you're traditionally male, that you're mentally ill.
Don't act like a man, the report
No,
says.
you're mentally
ill.
Okay, you've heard the word marginalized.
You bet.
Okay? Think of where they used to do this in the Soviet Union, in China, in Cuba, where you're against us, so you must be crazy.
Yeah, Siberia for you.
Do you think this is an accident? When you sent me this stuff last night, and I'll read what I answered back in a second, do you think this marginalization, i.e., if you are pro-gun, if you're pro-Constitution, if you're pro-Second Amendment, you must be insane?
A hunting and fishing man.
If
You're
voted,
crazy.
If you voted for Donald Trump, you must be insane. If you are traditionally male, you must be insane, and you are worthy of removal from society.
Mm-hmm.
Am I stepping over the edge? I don't think so.
Reading over their little quote-unquote program, no, you're 100%. See, here's my issue. Yes, men should be educated a bit on how to function in a relationship, because people don't do that anymore. You can't get away with, smacking some girl in the butt and being like, hey, baby, you just can't do that. It's stupid. And
that has nothing to do with what they're talking about.
It does. That's one of the little sections, but everything else is if you're competitive, if you like drinking beer and chasing women and, doing traditional men things, then you are a problem, and it automatically makes if you fulfill
you're a
traditional
pressure cooker, it says.
You are mentally ill.
If you do manly stuff, you're going to blow up.
And you're going to beat women, and you're a racist homophobe. This is
you're
all
a
in here.
sexual deviant, yes.
Stop. And you are mentally ill, and therefore you qualify for removal from society.
If a student is not allowed to express all of their emotions and thoughts, these just build up and can explode in various unhealthy ways.
So you can make fun all you want, but there are
Come on.
Hey, being able to suffer in silence is an overlooked trait. It's a quality that every person should have.
Hold your horses, kids. Here's the answer I sent to Matt last night after he sent me this UT article. I saw that last night, and I had it in my notes for today, meaning yesterday morning we didn't get to it.
Mm-hmm.
The feminization of America continues. Attacks on traditional culture are not an accident. Religion, family, marriage, gender difference, all marginalized or worse. In this case, declared to be mentally ill. In this context, watch the first 30 minutes of Demolition Man with Sylvester Stallone. Then Jack Nicholson's speech at the end of A Few Good Men. Oops, gotta go. My tinfoil hat needs polishing.
Here's the best part of this. I'm gonna just read this
I wouldn't
one
say it's
sentence.
the best.
Here's this part drives me crazy. Okay, this is kind of going right to the students. If you are a male student at UT reading this right now, we hope that learning about this helps you not to feel guilty about having participated in these definitions of masculinity.
And yet, if you don't feel guilty, you're a bad guy.
And instead, you feel empowered to break the cycle.
Now, I had brought up a point.
Are we breaking the cycle of masculinity? What, do we want every college kid to be a girl?
When they sign up, they should get lipstick.
Stop.
Bunch of jackasses.
Yes.
Everyone should be a girl.
Everyone, because if you are a traditional male, you are responsible for slavery, and you are responsible for the oppression of females, and you are responsible for...
This says violent behavior and alcoholism.
Stop just a second. I had mentioned to Matt, I said, you are now in the midst of the Martin-Niemöller equation. And I will explain. Martin Niemöller was a Protestant pastor at the beginning of World War II. And it's one of the most famous quotes there is, and here it is. First, they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out. He's talking about the Nazis now. First, the Nazis, came for the socialists. Matt, I want you to listen and think.
Oh, I'm listening.
First, they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out. Here is my point. Think of it this way. My life is like a football field, and I started my life at the goal line, and it goes to the goal line. And where I started at the goal line, now I am, chronologically speaking, at about maybe
the 60-yard line,
the 30-yard line at the opposite end.
Right, about you're headed for a field goal.
When it comes to my field, as it were, Matt, being 30 or 31, starts about at the 40-yard line.
Right.
I.e., he missed a whole bunch of stuff.
Sure.
He missed a whole bunch of my life that I have seen happen. The point I'm making is this, as it relates to Martin Niemöller. When they came for religion or marriage or definition of gender differences, people who are 30 don't know what traditional America is. Now that they are coming for him, there's not going to be anybody left to speak up.
No.
Because everybody else, the churches have been attacked. Marriage has been attacked.
The family, yeah.
Gender differences have been attacked.
Schools, yeah.
Education has been attacked. You're picking life up at my 30-yard line, buddy. Welcome to my world. 19 past 8 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Traffic time. Ruben's here.
Still keeping an eye on that heavy backed up traffic on I-20 westbound. Starting at Spring and Market, it's backed up past Airline Drive right now. And we're looking at some traffic delays on Benton Road, just north of I-220 in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Clouds and sun, breezy, warm and humid today. High 86 degrees. Plenty of clouds tonight with a low of 66. It'll stay mild. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Twenty-two past 8 o'clock. KEEL Sports, Fletch.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. Charlie Flynn, whose 140 total, was also good for second best individual score. Teammates Jake Marler finished 2 shots back. Payne Johnson was +2 for the tourney. Marshall aboard, and Luke Atchison also played well for the champs. LSU signee Hayden White won the Division II State Golf Championship, helping his Benton Tiger teammates to their 6th state team title in the last 7 years and 7th in school history. The Tigers rallied from 1 shot down after the first round to win the team title by 6 strokes. Ryan Steed and Brody Romero were Benton's second and third top golfer, respectively. Captain Shreve's girls finished second in the D1 tourney. Rachel Dupree's second-place individual effort led the Lady Gators, who fell 7 shots shy of four-time state champion Sulphur. Steph Curry returned to action for Golden State in Game 2 of their playoff series with New Orleans after missing the last 16 games with a Grade 2 MCL sprain in his left knee. He nailed his first three-pointer when he was inserted into the game in the first quarter and finished with 28 points in the Warriors' 121-116 win over the Pelicans to take a 2-0 series lead. LeBron James had 26 points, 11 boards, and 13 assists to lead Cleveland to a 113-112 OT win in Toronto to take Game 1 of the Eastern semis. The Astros wasted Justin Verlander's 14-strikeout, 8-shutout inning performance last night. New York's Gary Sanchez broke a scoreless tie with a 3-run ninth-inning homer in the Yankees' 4-0 win. And Texans grabbed a much-needed 8-6 12-inning win over the Cleveland Indians to the Rangers. Finally get a win. From the Sports Desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
I got to give us credit. That was an awesome segment. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Woohoo. Hold on, I'm waiting for it. Here
He's
it goes.
Still groaning.
25 past 8 o'clock, 1017 FM is 710 KEEL. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. You had the news story, and I want to clear this up. It's not a vote of the people is not at hand regarding sports gambling.
I might have screwed it up in a newscast.
Well, go ahead and read what you had and then straighten yourself out.
It is a vote of the people on fantasy sports gambling.
Which would be like DraftKings or FanDuel, the online stuff.
Mm-hmm. It passed in a Senate committee and is now headed to the full Senate. It would give voters the chance to vote in November on fantasy sports betting. You would fantasy sports gambling. You would vote parish by parish.
That sounds to me like a freaking nightmare.
So you could go vote yes in Bossier Parish, yes or no in Caddo. That's just crazy. So then if you're driving through and you're sitting in the back seat of somebody's car,
well, at some point,
where's it? What parishes does your car know what parish you're in?
At some point, well, the websites do, which is because it's illegal in Louisiana right now to do FanDuel or DraftKings.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do those in Louisiana. They know where you are. But the point being, at some point there is so much work for FanDuel or DraftKings that they're just going to go, Louisiana's not worth it.
Yeah, we're not going to do it.
We don't operate in Louisiana like insurance companies. I told you the story a million years ago. I used to get my car insurance through my American Express card.
Yes.
American Express Assurance. And when I lived in Ohio, now this is going back 20 years, but my annual insurance rate were $350.
Annual.
For the year.
Whoa.
I moved back here in 1995, 96. And I call American Express Assurance and say, want to transfer my policy to Louisiana? And they go, well, we don't think so.
We don't write those.
And I said, what do you mean? They said, well, we don't operate in Louisiana. And I said, why? I said, because it's just not worth our trouble. Y'all are crazy down there. It's insane. Y'all put on blindfolds, drink beer, and go out and crash into each other.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not worth the expense. At some point, for FanDuel or DraftKings, if we make it so complicated for them
won't play.
As we have a tendency to do, they'll just say not available in Louisiana, just like all those contests. Not available in Wisconsin, California, and Oregon.
Right.
FanDuel, not y'all are just too big a pain in the ass with your rules.
Yeah.
Do it or don't do it.
Right. That's true.
So does the possibility, I mean, how close to an actual state vote parish by parish is this? Is it really going to happen, or is it just coming through committee and it's got a long way to go?
Senate committee's passed it. It's headed to the Senate floor. It looks like it might move out favorably. It's on a roll, kind of.
And just, I know a lot of people argue, well, it's not really a game of skill. It kind of is, because there is a lot to go. If you don't play, you probably don't understand, but there is a lot of effort and information and things that you have to put into FanDuel and stuff to be successful.
So did Robert De Niro in Casino. 28 past 8 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel, traffic and weather. Let's go to traffic and weather now. Erin has local news up next. Here's Ruben.
Still keeping an eye on that heavy backed up traffic on I-20 westbound. Starting at Spring and Market, it's backed up past Airline Drive right now. And we're looking at some traffic delays on Bentonville Road, just north of I-220 in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Clouds and sun, breezy, warm and humid today. High 86 degrees. Plenty of clouds tonight with a low of 66. It'll stay mild. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Power of information. KEEL News now.
Give for Good Day is a wrap. The total raised is at $1.87 million, but that's only a preliminary number and doesn't include cash donations made at events across the city. Holy Angels topped the list, bringing in more than $200,000. A federal appeals court set to hear arguments on a Louisiana law requiring that doctors perform abortions have admitting privileges at nearby hospitals. This would have a big impact on the Hope Medical Group in Shreveport. Federal district judge in Baton Rouge blocked enforcement of the law last year. A 3-judge panel of the Fifth Circuit discusses the case today. A mayor busted for abuse of power. Cotton Valley Mayor Joseph Alexander arrested for abuse of power. Allegedly, he was running a kickback scheme and skimming money from the town. Webster DA Skylar Marvin says an investigation into Alexander has been going on for several months. The Safety Net Hospital deal could be finalized by the end of this month. Matt Parker with that.
A long-term deal for Ochsner Health to take over the Safety Net hospitals in Shreveport and Monroe could be finalized within the month. A spokeswoman with Ochsner says that they are committed to working with the state and that all parties involved want to strengthen the hospitals and unite the communities behind them. Ochsner owns or operates 30 hospitals in the state. From 101.7 FM and 710 Keel, I'm Matt Parker.
Meantime, a bill to bring parity to funding for Safety Net hospitals makes it out of committee. Cedric Glover won support for his bill by just one vote in the Appropriations Committee. It now moves to the full House. Sergeant Kevin Anderson identified as the Shreveport officer who shot and killed a man downtown. Anderson's been a member of the force since '94. According to reports, Anderson attempted to make contact with Brandon Busher Sunday. Busher then attacked Anderson and went for his gun, forcing Anderson to use deadly force. The sergeant's been placed on paid leave while the investigation continues. First Assistant Kyle Ardoin will take over the agency that handles elections beginning May 8th. Ardoin replaces Secretary of State Tom Shedler, who submitted his resignation papers in the wake of a sexual harassment scandal. Ardoin knows he's been put in charge.
No, we've got everything in there now. We've got everything in. No, we've got everything in there now. There'll be some adjustments today, but and it includes not only as our.
If you divide that in, those aren't small donations made by.
And their phone number.
You know, I didn't, because the list is so long, I didn't go through all of it. But
Sure.
I mean, I saw a number of donations in the way of around $25,000.
Wow.
So, through all of it, but
Sure.
I mean, through all of it, but
Sure.
I mean, I saw a number of donations in the way of. I saw a number of donations in the way of around $25,000.
Wow.
So there were a number of those. I saw a number of donations in the way of around $25,000. The entity that had the most unique donations was Robinson Film Center. So the entity that had the most unique donations was Robinson Film Center. So they had something like 280, maybe it was, donations. Yeah. So, and you know, it was, they brought in quite a bit less. Robinson Film Center. So they had something like 280, maybe it was, donations. Yeah.
Just one day. Goodbye, Post and Pray.
What you got real quick? 101.7 FM, 710 Keel.
Got an email from the mayor yesterday.
Oh, go ahead.
I sent it to you.
Yeah.
Because we talked to her about the low voter turnout over the weekend. And she actually did the research, or had her people do the research. And actually the turnout for this past bond election was the highest for those millages since prior to 92.
So was the 8% number right? It was an 8% voter turnout?
Well, the 8% was right. I don't know the percentages, but I know back in 92 there were 8,700 that voted.
Yeah.
Then
That's
4 years later, 5,400.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
4,500 and 4,400 the next two times
the
it was
point you're
voted
making
on.
is comparatively, the point the mayor
There
is
was
making
way more people.
is that comparatively,
Mm-hmm.
Brian Crawford got his wish. Comparatively,
Yeah.
there was a huge turnout, even though it was fewer than 10% of the voters. I told you last week, I don't know anybody that voted.
5 years ago, there were only 5,000 people that voted on these millages.
Yeah.
5,000 people decided these millages 5 years ago. This past Saturday, almost 10,000 people voted.
Oh, my gosh.
So it's twice as many.
Almost 10,000 people. Way to go, Shreveport.
10,000's low. It's sad.
It's horrible.
But compared to 5 years ago when only 5,000 showed up.
Turnout doesn't suck as bad.
Oh.
Give yourselves a pat on the back.
Yeah.
836, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. Not a lot of time to get into this today. We'll cover it tomorrow in great detail. We talk all the time about Donald Trump is the guy who must be destroyed. He must be destroyed. He must be eliminated by the Democrats, by a lot of Republicans, by the deep state as the government exists.
Right.
He must be removed because he's shaking the boat. He's got to get rid of him. If you eliminate Donald Trump from the list of who must be destroyed right now on May 2nd, both of you think about this.
Okay.
Right now, on May 2nd, 2018, who more than any other public figure in American life must be destroyed? And the attempt at destruction has begun. Who is the one, I'll narrow it down, who is the one fellow who must be destroyed by the Democrats, especially by the deep. He must be destroyed. Who is it?
I'm not sure.
Parky, you got a shot?
I don't know.
She's still thinking.
It's sort of broad.
Who do you think? One man above all others, one man, uber alles, must be destroyed. His credibility must be eliminated. In fact, I'll give you a hint. In fact, there are calls for him to be shot. There are calls for him to be killed because of recent statements he has made. Who is it? Who must be destroyed?
Kanye West.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Kanye's saying, hey, black folks, maybe you're wasting your time being a Democrat. Maybe it's nothing more than a plantation for you guys. I mean, his words.
Mm-hmm.
Look at how things have changed in the land. How long have you been giving your vote to the Democrats? And it's the same world. Barack Obama, 8 years of Barack Obama. How'd things change in Chicago? Not at all. Kanye must be destroyed.
They're going after him.
Did you read?
He said somewhere that slavery was a choice.
Hold on just a second.
Come on, Kanye.
Totally out of context.
Was it?
The destruction has begun.
Has it?
Okay. Here's Maxine Waters, Congresswoman Maxine Waters. Here's what she says about Kanye. Kanye West is a very creative young man, but we also think that sometimes he talks out of turn, and perhaps he needs some assistance in helping him formulate some of his thoughts. I think maybe he should think twice about politics and maybe not have so much to say. Black Democrats out to destroy a black man who says maybe there's another way. And if you think it's going to stop at black politicians trying to destroy this black man, Kanye West, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Yeah.
839, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Traffic time. Ruben looks ready.
Just received reports of a major accident blocking both lanes of traffic on Clyde Fant Memorial Parkway near Barksdale Boulevard. And we're looking at some heavy backed up traffic on I-20 eastbound near Traffic Street due to a minor accident. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Clouds and sun, breezy, warm and humid today. High 86 degrees. Plenty of clouds tonight with a low of 66. It'll stay mild. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Good morning. It's 8:41. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty at 101.7 FM and 710 Keel. Had to look at the tag on my toe to see where I was. Shreveport Security Systems text line is 318-392-1884. So last hour, we had State Representative Cedric Glover on KEEL, and I started the conversation by saying, understand, we're talking about now the legislation that Representative Glover introduced yesterday to the House Appropriations Committee, which would mandate financial parity
for the safety net hospitals in the state,
charity hospitals in the state of Louisiana, and it made it through committee, by one vote. I think it was like 9-8.
You bet.
And now goes to the House floor for debate and a vote. But the point is this. Erin,
it was some interesting debate.
Erin was listening and watching sort of the House Appropriations Committee video yesterday morning.
Oh, and my
I'm
head's
sorry,
about
earlier
to,
this morning from yesterday.
My head's about to explode.
And it made her crazy,
Yeah.
and we'll get to that.
But
when, hold on. When we started with Cedric, I said to Cedric, I need you to do two things in this conversation. He said, what's that? I said, I need you to intersperse the facts of yesterday's committee meeting with talking Erin off the ledge, because so many of what so many legislators said yesterday basically have got her, she needs to be talking off the ledge.
Yeah.
And Cedric said, good.
He wants me on the ledge.
Welcome to the ledge. He said,
Stay there.
this is a point I have been trying to make. He said this was the major, he said, the what he sees as unfair funding for University Health Hospital and the medical school compared to the other safety net hospitals in Louisiana. Cedric says this was the prime motivating factor for him getting back into politics and running for the state rep position that he won.
You bet.
Now, what are we talking about?
Here's where I go crazy.
Okay, go ahead.
Are you ready?
Where you want to start?
Cedric gets in the big chair in front of the committee, and he's testifying why this bill's important to him. Then one member of the committee, State Rep Tony Bacala from Pineville, which happens to be, in the Alexandria area.
North of I-10. Let's remember that. Think of that as the 38th parallel. Think of that as the Maginot Line, Hadrian's Wall.
Right. He sits on the committee, and he gave details of the disparity.
According to documents from LDH, they're showing that they're being reimbursed 156.3% of the actual costs incurred, whereas if you look at University Health in Shreveport, they're getting reimbursed 79.6% of actual cost incurred.
Did you hear those numbers?
Did you hear him? 156, right?
100. New Orleans gets 156. 156% of reimbursement costs.
And this is comparing a medical school to a medical school.
Shreveport gets 79%.
Yeah.
Now, here's where Erin's ears turn red and steam blows out. This is the Jeff Reynolds guy.
DHH Undersecretary. He's supposed to know it all.
Louisiana Department of Human Services Undersecretary. Listen to this logic.
Take a deep breath before I play this, because this is going to make you crazy.
This is awesomely awful.
He tried to explain why New Orleans gets more money than University Health.
In New Orleans, they have the sickest clients. I've got some charts here that I'd be glad to share with the committee that show that for every client, New Orleans spends about $1.60, and Shreveport spends about $1.20. So there is some built-in cost differences.
No. That's
they're sicker in New Orleans, so spend more money on them.
Basically, his explanation is...
Can somebody explain that?
No, it's insane. It's absurd.
It is absurd.
It's foolish. What he should be saying is, New Orleans gives more money because we give New Orleans more money. It's nothing more complicated than that. New Orleans gets more money because we give New Orleans more money. Shreveport gets less money because we give Shreveport less money. That's it in a nutshell.
Let me try to get into Mr. Reynolds' brain.
No,
Let me try, because I want to try to make sense of it.
Styrofoam in there.
Let's say I'm in New Orleans and I go to the hospital because, things have just gotten out of control. I have a heart attack or whatever. Well, he's saying in New Orleans...
The heart attacks are worse.
The heart attacks are worse, or you have other problems coming with the heart attack, or you waited longer than we wait here to go to the hospital.
Stupid. Stop it.
Is that what he's trying to say?
You're just going to make yourself crazy. Let us move on.
And then the other big debate in the committee was from these kind of guys.
Take a breath. This is Mark Abraham. This is Mark Abraham, Representative Mark Abraham, Republican from Lake Charles.
Yep.
And as Cedric's bill makes its way from committee to the floor of the House...
Think of the money for funding for medical care as a pie, okay?
Look at it this way, okay? This is the kind of thinking that anybody who thinks Shreveport should get parity funding.
Mm-hmm. These guys want us to get the crust.
Well, here's the deal.
And they get the whipped cream.
Why would they take from their own hospitals to give to us?
Mm-hmm.
The majority of legislators, the majority of the population is south of I-10.
Yeah.
If you think that they are going to take the essence, the spirit of fairness has nothing to do with this. As you will hear him say, we get more money than you. Why would we give up some of our money to give it to you?
Yeah.
Just because that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
There, and you say, well, what about fairness? And I said in the 6 o'clock hour, whoever runs against this Mark Abraham guy down the line for his state representative position.
If he were to vote for Cedric's bill, they could say, you cut funding for our hospital.
Why would you run against this guy saying, I'm for less money for my constituents in, say, theoretically, Lake Charles or New Orleans or Baton Rouge?
Yep.
So this is the kind of mindset that has to be overcome for Cedric's bill, parity for Shreveport's University Health Hospital and Medical School. This is the kind of mindset, the kind of thinking that has to be overcome. Mark Abraham from Lake Charles.
So that finite UPL pool, okay, could be detrimental to the other hospitals, not Shreveport in New Orleans. That's my issue that I have with this.
That is a possibility, yes, sir.
For that reason, I mean, I can't support it because of that reason. I can't jeopardize losing dollars at the other safety net hospitals.
It just comes down, pardon me, it comes down to the screw you factor.
Yeah, sorry, dude. Can't help you.
I'm not taking away.
Here's where Cedric's point, and people are not getting this point. People in our state need to realize we are one of the lucky states. We have 2 medical schools. The people across Louisiana need to realize that the medical school in Shreveport has value for our entire state. And it needs to be funded just like the medical school in New Orleans.
They, guys like Abraham and others south of I-10, will never take away from their own pie to share with you.
But there are tons of people from Lake Charles and Opelousas and Lafayette who come here to send their kids to our medical school.
Got to go. 10 seconds. 1 to 10 chance of Cedric's bill passing.
4.
2. 849, 1017 FM, 710 KEEL. It is time for Your Money Now.
You're listening to American Ground Radio's Morning Minute.
Tom Shedler, the Louisiana Secretary of State, has resigned amid a sexual harassment allegation from his former secretary.
But should the public care about a politician's private life?
And the answer to that is yes. A leader is not like a technician. Perhaps a technician can do a good technical job while being a bad person, but a politician is a leader, and being a good person is a requirement.
This is the latest politician taken down in the Me Too era. People in power are either going to learn they have to behave better, or we will see more of these resignations.
American Ground Radio, where building a better America begins with building a better us. Return each weeknight from 6 to 7 p.m. with Louis R. Abalone and Stephen Parr on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, and streaming live at KEELnews.com.
Okay, hold on a second. We have to close our mics. I apologize, because there could be a huge story we have not discussed this morning, but I'm not sure I can say it on the radio. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Hold on. If you're watching on the video and you can read lips, you'll know what we're talking about. If you're just listening on AM or FM or the stream, I apologize. There's going to be some silence.
Oh, no.
But Erin and I need to talk off the radio. Don't you open your mic to screw us either. I will beat you. Okay, just kill the mics now.
Okay, we're dead.
Okay, hold on. You heard back?
Yeah.
Is it true? Can we say it out loud?
We can say it out loud. We don't know that it's accurate.
What?
We're researching it.
Okay, then let's wait.
There have been discussions is accurate.
So if I were to say the possibility exists that the employees at blank may blank, that would not, I can say that.
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay.
They are in discussions
wait.
with...
So the possibility, bear with me. The possibility exists that the employees at blank may blank. I can fill that in.
You can fill it in.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can fill that in.
Yeah.
You promise?
Yes.
The possibility exists that the employees, some of the employees...
Just some, you're right.
...at Horseshoe may unionize.
I have confirmed there have been discussions with the UAW, I'm told.
That the dealers, the boat dealers.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, this is a small group.
No, it's not. It's everybody.
Don't speak out of turn.
It's everybody who goes on the boat.
No, there's only a few people that have been in the discussions.
Okay, but what I'm saying is,
I don't know that all of them.
It would encompass craps dealers, card
They'd
dealers.
have to all vote.
But
they'd have to vote.
The possibility exists that some of the employees at blank may blank.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Back tomorrow morning, 6 till 9, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Here's Kim Commando.
The thing about smartphones is that they've gotten expensive, very expensive. And the numbers from Apple and Samsung seem to say that consumers are finally getting fed up. Kim Commando with your Wednesday Consumer Tech Update. Yesterday, Apple announced how its products sold during the first 3 months of 2018. As expected, overall company profits are up. Apple says that the iPhone X sold well, which is to say, just a little better than last year, but not quite what they forecast from the 10th anniversary iPhone. Meanwhile, over at Samsung, sales of the Galaxy S9 are the lowest they've ever been for a Galaxy phone, for the first time since 2004. Regardless of the brand, and even with the stunning new technology of today's smartphones, customers are no longer lining up to buy them. It's very possible that the world is ready for a low-cost budget smartphone, one that's not dependent on the latest technology, and one that won't break the bank. I'm Kim Commando. When you're hiring, you don't want to waste time sorting through dozens of irrelevant resumes. You want an efficient way to get to a short list of qualified candidates. You need Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes. Set up screener questions based on your job requirements. Then zero in on qualified candidates using an intuitive online dashboard. Discover why 3 million businesses use Indeed.com for hiring. Post a job today at Indeed.com/hire. Search for greatness. Search Indeed.
Why just listen to the Kim Commando Show when there's so much more? Why not watch the whole show in high definition on your phone, tablet, or television? Or download the podcast in crystal clear digital audio. Watch or listen on your schedule, driving, exercising, or relaxing. Try Kim's Club today at club.commando.com. Remember, seniors, military, and service personnel get a special discount. Go now to club.commando.com.
We have reports of a rolled over tractor trailer on North Market near North Hearn Avenue, and we're looking at some heavy backed up traffic on I-20 eastbound due to a minor accident near Traffic Street in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline at 687-ROAD.
Here's your KeelAccuWeather.com forecast. Kind of sunny. A few clouds again today. Warm near 80. Right now, 71 at Keel. 9 o'clock. Here is Fox News.
Breaking news and trending talk. This is 101.7 FM and 710 Keel. KEEL, Shreveport.